The Lovers Pentacle 2, Chapter 7, Queen of Cups. I brought you my chess game, said Carina, setting out the board game on top of Malik's bed. I don't want to play, said Malik, and he turned pale when he saw Carina beside him, and yelling he said, Mom, what is that thing doing here? I am not a thing, I'm Carina, said Carina. I came here to cheer you up. Carina reached into her bag of mystery and she brought out her pom-poms and she began to yell while she did one of her cheerleader routines. Malik went to rub his temple, but he made the mistake of using his bad dominant hand, and he flinched in pain. And he looked at his right hand angrily, and he worried that his hand was going to hurt forever. If I play with you, would you shut up, barked Malik. Uh-huh, but if I win, you have to go on a date with me, said Carina. Well, fine, whatever, it's not as if you can beat me, said Malik. Carina, said Carina, I know your name, barked Malik, and if you lose, you have to leave me alone forever. Deal, said Carina, and she added, raising her pinky. Pinky swear? Malik raised his pinky without much enthusiasm, and the two twins played chess, and the first match ended in a draw. And Carina won the second match after getting used to Malik's playstyle, and the two played 5 more games with similar results, and since Carina had won, Malik agreed to go on another date with her. Carina took Malik to the baseball game, and Malik thought that this was extremely sadistic even by a vindictive girl's standards, and the more he watched the game, the sadder he became, and eventually he started crying. And why did you bring me here, Carina? I hate you, protested Malik while sobbing. Stop being such a baby, protested Carina, and just because you can't play the sport doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it, watching it. And I suck at all sports, but do you see me crying about it? No, said Malik, trying to get control over his emotions. Carina hugged Malik and she kissed his forehead, and the following, Marina took Malik to his baseball practice, and even if he couldn't bat or throw the ball, he could still offer his teammate his support. And his presence helped raise the team's morale, and with a bit more of encouragement, Malik tried to pitch the baseball with his left hand. His aim was off, but at least he was playing again. And during his convalescent period, Malik grew fond of Carina's constant little attentions, and when she wasn't around, he found himself thinking of her. And one day Malik asked Carina out on a date, and the rest was history. The smell of dinner brought back Carina to the present, and she had a new man in her life, and the two were so in love that they were living together already. And she felt nervous by how quickly their relationship was progressing, though it gave her peace of mind to have Bruno sleeping under her roof. And whenever the two were apart, Carina was overcome with jealous thoughts, and she had been certain about Malik, and he had rewarded her loyalty by cheating on her with not one, but with 3 women at once. And Carina still remembered the shame she felt while all of her classmates laughed at her, and they even printed photos in the school newspaper for all to see. And Carina didn't want to believe it, but the proof was in the pudding, and her perfect relationship had come crumbling down in the worst way imaginable. And every time Malik tried to explain himself, Carina would throw herself into hysterics, and just thinking about the infidelity was enough to make her blood boil. Meanwhile, Kain worried that things had become stagnant with Eugenia, and she was still dictating when he was allowed to see her. And if he showed up unannounced or overstayed his welcome, she was quite vocal about her desire to have her space. And in the back chamber, she was always dissatisfied. The two had zero chemistry, and every time she would try to teach him, Eugenia would become frustrated with Kain's lack of passion, and he was certain that the relationship was on life support. It was a hot Friday afternoon, and Carina was sitting outside the clinic eating alone, and she still had 7 months left of her residency, and she had gotten into the habit of eating outside in order to avoid her co-workers. The doctors treated her like an idiot, while the unskilled labor annoyed her with their idle gossip, and she was starting to consider leaving her job to go work in her aunt's clinic. And it was still too early to call it quits. Carina wanted to make it without her family's connections. A car parked in front of the clinic, and a familiar face stepped outside the car, and it was just as Kain had warned. Malik was back in town. The last time she had seen Malik was in prom night, and Malik had taken to the prom another woman, And after the two had broken up, Malik started changing his girlfriends on a weekly basis, and the moment that his girlfriend became slightly annoying, he would dump her. Until the last moment, Carina had hoped to get back with Malik, and after being apart from him for a year, Carina began crawling back, and she forgave his infidelity, and she was willing to pretend that it had never happened as long as Malik never talked about it. The problem was that Malik did want to talk about that infidelity, and since Carina refused to listen to what he wanted to say, the two never got back together. And when Malik went to study abroad, Carina lost all hope. Malik frowned when he saw Carina sitting outside the clinic, and Carina took a small bite from her sandwich, and she took out her cell phone to look at photos of Bruno. She kept her eyes on her cell phone to avoid Malik's piercing green eyes that lay hidden behind his sunglasses, and much to her annoyance, Malik sat down beside her, and he seemed to want to say something, and in the end he decided not to stir up the past. "It is good to see you again, Carina," said Malik. "How is life treating you?" "Fine, and you?" asked Carina, being passive-aggressive. "I have been meaning to apologize to you for how I handled our breakup," said Malik. "I'm happy that you finally found a man that puts up with you." "I did everything right, Malik. Why weren't you able to love me?" demanded Carina. "I'm sorry I wasn't able to love you the way you wanted to be loved, Carina. I tried, Carina. I really did try. But if you had to try, then it isn't the real thing, isn't?" said Malik, sighing. "It all fell apart in the face of adversity." "I miss you, Malik," said Carina, smiling warning. "And even if you wanted to bring things up, there wasn't a reason why we couldn't have stayed as friends. I tried friend-zoning you the first time we met, but no, you wanted to jump straight into dating," said Malik. "And that has always been your problem, Carina. You always jump into everything." Carina, changing the subject, said, "As much as I would like to catch up, I have work to do." "That's good. I need something looked into, but keep it hush-hush, and I don't want my mother to know about my problems," said Malik, being cryptic. "Ew, Malik. Don't tell me you got cooties from a British skank," said Carina, sitting as far away from Malik as possible. Malik laughed heartily before saying, "Don't worry, I didn't get anything so melodramatic." Malik removed his sunglasses, and Carina saw that Malik had a purple eye, and she instructed Malik to enter to the back door, and she was going to treat him free without getting her boss's permission. Malik entered her office, and Carina looked at the time, and she was thankful to still have half an hour to deal with the problem. Malik began to unbutton his shirt, and Carina was about to protest, but she saw that the bruises were not limited to just his face. Someone had given Malik a royal beating. "Malik, who did this to you?" exclaimed Carina, shocked. "Shh, keep it down, Carina," hissed Malik. Carina treated all of Malik's bruises, and the final thing she checked was his wrist, and she still remembered Malik screaming in pain due to a sprained wrist. "Did you get mugged? Who did this to you?" asked Carina. "It is a long story," said Malik, being evasive. Over the years, Malik found it difficult to talk about his problem. His father no longer took him seriously, while his mother took everything he said with a pint of salt. "Your boyfriend Bruno, he's a lawyer, is he not? I need his help to file a restraining order." Carina called up Bruno to ask him about the restraining order, and Bruno informed Carina that getting a restraining order wasn't as easy as they made it seem on the television. And on such short notice, he could get Malik a temporary injunction that would protect him for 15 days. 15 days will do fine for the time being, said Malik, and hopefully his visa will expire by then. "We still need a name, Malik. Bruno can file a restraining order against a nameless assailant," said Carina, and she brought out a camera and she took photos of the bruises. "It is going to help your case if I document the assault." "Ha ha ha. Why didn't I think of that? I am so stupid." "So very stupid," laughed Malik bitterly. Carina took the photos, and while she did, she said, "Are you going to tell me who beat you up?" My stalker is British. Is that going to cause a problem?" asked Malik. "We can't enforce a restraining order if your abuser lives in Britain. I can see about getting his visa revoked on the grounds that this person is a menace to society," said Bruno on speaker. "I think you better discuss this in person," Bruno said Carina. "And his stalker may be British, but he's actually in the U.S. right now being a total heel," said Carina. "Last time it's almost over and people will talk." Malik's cell phone vibrated and he looked at his messages and the color left his face and he got dressed quickly before saying, "I'm sorry for getting you involved. I better go now." "Malik, I can't help you if you don't tell me everything," insisted Carina. "I would love to tell you everything, Carina, but I doubt you will believe me." "Goodbye," said Malik before departing. Carina fidgeted with her stethoscope nervously. You know that thing that doctors use to hear people's breathing? Malik was in serious trouble and he needed help, but he didn't feel that he had anyone he could truly rely on. Carina called her mother to tell her everything she knew about Malik's problem, and he felt an outlet to decide how to manage that situation. Unla looked at her cell phone and she frowned when she realized that she didn't have Roxana's phone number. The two had fallen out of touch when Carina and Bruno broke up. Unla opened the yellow pages and she found Roxana's not listed phone number, and she sighed with relief when Lorraine answered the phone. Carina finished her work shift and when she got to the parking lot, she frowned when she noticed that her car wouldn't start. And Carina called Bruno to have him pick her up, and Carina waited inside the safety of her clinic. And Bruno was taking a bit too long to come for her, and when Bruno arrived, Carina ran to his car. "What took you so long?" asked Carina. "There was a suspicious person skulking in front of our law firm," said Bruno. "Rodrigo's in the middle looking at the surveillance tapes." "Drive me there. I want to see the tapes," insisted Carina. "Don't you want me to fix your car first?" asked Bruno. "We don't have time for that," said Carina. And the two returned to the law firm. Carina saw the tape and she paused it before saying, "There's nothing to worry about. That suspicious guy is Malik, and he said he was coming over to get his restraining order." Rodrigo wrote the rest of the tape. Malik lingered in front of the entrance of the law firm, and after pacing around nervously, Malik seemed to have changed his mind. And with nothing to do and no other leads, the couple returned to Carina's car. Bruno charged up the battery of Carina's car, and when it was operational, the two went home. Carina wanted to send Kain to look for Malik, and Ola was of the opinion that they should wait until Kain got off work. She guessed that Malik would turn up sooner or later, and in order to put Carina at ease, Bruno drove up to the Islandia Police Department to file a missing persons report. Parallel to this event, Kain was making an added sketch of a mugger that had assaulted Jeremy. The assailant had stolen his cat and one of Dorothy's chihuahuas. The owners worried that the thief might try to ransom their pets, and dognapping was unusual but not an uncommon crime. And Farley was collecting evidence from Eugenia's poodle. Misa had beaten her attacker, and he hoped to collect some DNA evidence from the dog's mouth. And Jeremy's head was still spinning from the baseball bat that had almost split his skull open. "Other than his outfit, do you remember anything else about your assailant, Jeremy?" asked Farley. He gripped the bat like this while raising his pinky," said Jeremy, "and that is all I can remember. The attack happened so fast, and 1 minute I was cleaning Misa's messes, and the next I was knocked out." "I'm going to analyze the scene of the crime," said Siddhartha, "and take Jeremy home, Kain." No, I don't want to go home with Kain," protested Jeremy, stomping on the floor. "I want you to take me home, Siddhartha." "Stop being a big baby," rebuked Siddhartha, "and I need you to stay here to help me catch the bag, so I can catch the bad guy." Kain is not doing anything important, so he can take you home. "I think you better take Jeremy home," said Farley. "You're too close to the case, and I want to give Kain the chance to make himself useful again." Siddhartha reluctantly took Jeremy home, and Kain went with Farley to analyze the scene of the crime. And both officers left the station before Bruno had a chance to talk to Kain. And Bruno gave his report to Uncle Gen, and Gen analyzed the recent sequence of events looking for a pattern. And last night, Malik got attacked in front of his apartment by someone wielding a baseball bat. And in the afternoon, Jeremy got robbed by someone with a baseball bat. Malik got his injuries treated in the clinic that employed Carina, and Malik then went to Bruno's office to file a restraining order, and according to the video, Malik saw something that made him run away. And the working theory was that both crimes had been done by the same person. Both crimes involved assault with a metal bat. "Put on an APB for a man with a British accent carrying a baseball bat," said Gim. "The man is considered armed and dangerous, and he raises his pinky before swinging his bat." That is not enough information to go by, boss, said Asha, a lady police officer. Well, that's all you'll get, and just keep an eye on any individual carrying a bat in areas that are miles away from a baseball field, said Gen. And while you're at it, look for Malik. He's an eyewitness that apparently knows the identity of his attacker. While Gen was busy, Kain and Farley arrived at the crime scene, and they found blood splatters a few blocks away from Eugenia's mansion, and they found the spot where Jeremy lay for an indeterminate amount of time. And Farley guessed that Jeremy might have laid there for 20 minutes based on the size of the pool of blood. And Kain found a partial footprint, and the assailant had stepped on Misa's present while he was running away. Kain went to the car, and he brought out Misa, and he wanted to use the poodle to track down her stolen companions. Find Coco, Misa, ordered Kain. Misa whimpered before cowering behind Kain. She wasn't trained to track, so she had no idea what Kain wanted from her. Misa sat down beside Kain while she waited for the dude to go for a walk. It was worth a try, kid, said Farley, who started following the solid footprints. The footprints eventually faded away, and Misa, smelling her own feces, continued to walk forward. And Kain followed after the dog into a nearby bush, and inside the bush they found a piece of garment. Kain collected the garment as a piece of evidence, and Misa led the party to an empty vacation home. Misa continued to walk towards the house, and Misa fancied that Kain was taking her out on a walk. And Coco sometimes liked to vary the patrol route, so Misa didn't make a big deal about her new surroundings. As long as she could still smell Coco, she felt safe. Misa continued to follow the faint trace of Coco, and Coco was the outfall of the pack, so Misa was used to going everywhere that dog went. When Misa scratching at the door, the cops had the probable cause they needed to break an entry. Kain went to pick the lock, but the door was unlocked, and Farley brought out his gun and he waited. Kain opened the door ever so slowly, and Misa's whimpering made stealth a bit difficult. The two searched the vacation house, and the only thing they found was Coco's collar, like the neck thingy. They were at an impasse. Kain's cell phone rang, and he placed it on speaker for Farley to listen to. Kain, have you heard anything from Malik? Asked Kain. No, he's in some kind of trouble, asked Kain. Malik got attacked by a man with a baseball bat, and the assault and the dog napper could be related. Both incidents were done by a man with a baseball bat, and the attacks happened too close together for it to be a mere coincidence. Have you tried calling Malik's parents? Asked Kain. His parents haven't been able to get a hold of the kid, retorted Gent. And with no word from Malik, Carina felt that drastic measures were needed, and she drove out to Carina's house in order to have the witch use her magic to find Malik. Irina wasn't taking any customers today, and after knocking for 10 minutes, Irina started. Angelica opened the door. And based on her outfit, Carina saw that Angelica worked in the doctor industry. Mamá, por favor, atiende a esta puta loca clienta tuya, yelled Angelica. I speak Spanish, said Carina, narrowing her eyes. I curse better in Spanish, said Angelica dourly. And do you know what time it is? And we are having dinner, and Mother needs her rest, and whatever your problems you have, they can wait. It's an emergency, please, 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 said Carina, and she brought out $500, and I will pay you 5 times your usual rate, but hurry. Irina looked at the meager meal in front of her table, and she sighed before wearily accepting Carina's money. The two went to the balcony to the house shrine, and Carina raised an eyebrow when she saw Kain's picture among the other family portraits. He said, my granddaughter from drowning, explained Irina, and this is my way of delivering him from evil and wishing him his daily bread. 5 years ago, I went to a different witch. With her help, I casted a curse on Malik because he broke up with me and moved away to another continent, said Carina, and I want you to lift that curse. A curse is a double-edged sword, said Irina, lighting a candle. When you cut your enemies, you cut yourself as well. I don't dabble in hexes or curses anymore. And why are you coming to him and not the witch you use? Teresa, she's no longer in the world of the living, explained Carina with tears in her eyes. Her boyfriend killed her in a fit of jealousy, and I didn't think the curse actually worked. It was meant to be just a cathartic experience, and I didn't really want Malik to get hurt, and I just wanted to feel what I felt when he dumped me. Can you lift the curse, Irina? A curse is fueled by your intention, said Irina. If you truly didn't want to curse Malik, then no curse was cast. Just to be safe, can you lift the curse that I may or may not have casted, said Carina. And I need this dispel before the new moon, and Malik still hasn't come home, and I'm afraid that something may have happened to him. Why didn't you leave with her, Carina? Hissed Irina. If your friend is missing, I'm going to use my most powerful protection spell. Irina reached for a bottle to begin making the spell, and she opened the tiny bottle filled with water from Lourdes. And the moment she opened the bottle, Carina's cell phone began to vibrate, and Carina looked at her text message before sighing with relief. Malik had been found in the hospital, and the fact that he was there didn't inspire her much confidence, but at least he was alive. As long as there was life, there was hope. Carina ran out of the house and she drove away. Should we just give her a key to the apartment, Grandma? Asked Marlene, who was eavesdropping while eating her sandwich. If I did that, then she's never going to leave, said Irina, rubbing her temple. What spell did you use, Grandma? Asked Marlene. I didn't get around to making a spell. The problem solved itself, said Irina. You got paid for doing nothing, said Marlene dryly. You should make a protection spell for what's his name, just to be safe. I need more than a first name to cast my magic, said Irina. Since when? Asked Marlene. You must be losing your powers, Abuela. Malik awoke the following morning completely disoriented, and the last thing he remembered was standing in front of the law firm, and everything else was a muddy mess of sensations. And Malik turned his head to examine his surroundings, and he was in a bad hospital. No, he was in a hospital, badly hurt. And looming over him was an unfamiliar face with piercing green eyes. He looked at the blue tuxedo of the man. Are you Bruno? Guessed Malik. Yes, said Bruno. Malik breathed a sigh of relief and he added, Did they arrest my stalker? Yes, but he keeps refusing to tell us his name, like Bruno. And can you help us to identify the man? The truth was that nobody had been arrested, and Malik was brought in by a hooded figure to the emergency room, and Malik opened his mouth to speak, but he fell silent when he heard Carina's distinct, hurried footsteps. Carina sobbed while hugging Malik, and she always did that whenever Malik had a serious injury. And when she was in control of her emotions, she sat back at a respectable distance, and she looked at Bruno to see if there was any hint of jealousy, and Bruno was completely stoic as he fiddled with a chess piece in his pocket, and he was planning his next move. And when he came to a decision, Bruno called Kain to have him listen to Malik's testimony. My stalker his name is Malik, and with his head still buzzing, his friends call him Balthazar. I don't know his last name, and he was always at all of the campus parties. And he was just a background character, a mute, and nobody you take seriously. And a few months ago, he started stalking me, and when I moved back to the States, he followed after. And then he attacked me on my way to the car, so I went to Carina to get first aid, and the rest you know. Are you certain that Balthazar is the person who attacked you, asked Bruno, playing the devil's advocate? Who else could it have been? His Malik's stalker behavior always escalates. Did you or did you not see Balthazar hit you with a bat? Insisted Bruno. I didn't get a good look at my attacker, said Malik sadly. It all happened at night. Are you certain that Balthazar is mute? Asked Kain. He could just be a super shy guy. He speaks with sign language, said Malik, but I don't know. He's the only person with a motive. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye and God bless.